Yeah. Hometown. Yo, we kicking it live. Vince and Stevie D, OWSports podcast is the place to be. Bills Mafia, repping the red, white, and blue, no doubt. With Josh Allen, just stand up and shout. Gang Green, coming with that New York flair. Jets in the mix, you know they taking it there. The rivalry is fierce, but they keep it 100. Legends in the making, pressure never stunted. From MetLife to Highmark, bright lights when the night's dark. Touchdown, dream, steel beams, leave a big spark. Bills and Jets, we clash on the field, but on this podcast, we keep it sealed. Respect for the game, we all in the zone. Vince and Stevie D, we holding our own. So tune in tight, don't miss a beat. OW Sports, where the real ones meet. Sit back.
It's OW Sports, the fastest growing podcast about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. You get the best takes, the most engaging interviews, and they are always keeping it real. So sit back, relax, and get ready to talk some NFL. Now here's your hosts, Vince and Stevie D.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host, Stevie D, and you are watching the therapy session for the Bills and the Jets.
Dude, I don't know if there's enough hours in the day.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. It is, you know, this is the way it was on Rapid Reaction. You run out of things to say, Stevie D. You really do. You just run out of things to say. You're in disbelief. You're in frustration. You're in disappointment. Yeah, you can just keep going down the list. You know, if I'm a fan of, say, Team Chicago, who had a last-second victory, I'm popping collars, popping champagne. If I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm happy where we're going. Daniel Jones is the man. We're the Jets and the Bills. We're
in two separate classes.
We're not. We're not.
Well, you're tied for first, and we're winless.
No, we're in second place.
Yeah, from a tiebreaker perspective.
We're in second place.
We are winless.
And we are almost winless. I'm dead serious.
No, you're 1-5. You beat us pretty bad. So.
Okay. So it was a battle of the two winless teams, and we won that one. Right? It's hard. It is hard. It is hard. Hey, Rob.
You know, I got to ask Rob a question. Can you bring back his first? Can you bring back his first one?
Hold on.
Oh, JT. What's up, JT?
JT, the rapid reaction kind of it allowed me to kind of go through some level of therapy. And Stevie D, I mentioned on rapid reaction, I was this close. They want me to throw something. They want me to become animated, and I refuse to do that. I've.
Man, you stayed mellow?
Kinda not animated where JT is worried about me blowing the speakers, and you know, certainly I don't want to scare anybody, right? There's young kids that are out there, so
did you pound the table?
No, I didn't.
See, you're maturing. You're maturing week by week.
This is this new Zen, right? The Phil Jackson type Zen, where you know I don't know how long it's gonna last. So JT, keep your finger on the volume button, you know. But right now we're trying. We're trying. That was Rob's first one.
Yeah. So Rob, I got to ask a question. Do you copy and paste that each time, or do you actually type that out every time? Because, you know, being so special to the show, you start off every show with that, and we always appreciate it. I was just curious, do you copy and paste it, or do you type that out every time?
That's straight typing. That's muscle memory right there. I'm telling you. Rob will tell you that's muscle memory. Blah 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 blah. Away he goes.
Through my laziness, I would have found my previous post and copied and pasted because I'm too lazy on the.
You know, I almost don't feel like doing this. See, tight.
You called it.
Oh, now you're just showing off. Now you're just showing off. Now you're showing off. Rob, careful, you might get banned for that.
Nobody likes to show off, Rob.
Right. Oh.
You can type it fast and an AI can spit it out.
Wow, Joey just came straight out the box. Hey, Joey. Joey, we haven't even gotten that far yet. We haven't even opened up the show. Hey, Joey, how are you? How are things? Good. How was your weekend? How was your Monday? Oh, a little disappointment. Let's get into it. Nope, not Joey. Look, Joey. Who is it? The Bills suck.
The fastest time in a quarter mile, right there.
Nice recovery. Nice recovery, Rob. Very, very nice. The only way we're going to stay smiling, Stevie D, is for us, to drink. Alcohol needs to be included in this. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any with me this time. And I'm on a bye week, so I'll be dry for the next couple of weeks. And then, depending what happens with Carolina, you may see a couple decanters over here. I'll probably have to have a darker glass because we don't want anybody to assume what may be in there. But it could be one of those. It's just rough. So let's talk about good stuff. Let's talk about what is good in the NFL. Jackson Dart is good in the NFL. and Brian Dable's actions on the sideline are good in the NFL. I think that's one way to put it, right? To see Brian Dable's quarterback go into the tent and Dable's like, Russell will not be on the field for me.
And the one throw pass he makes, right, it's like, where is he throwing it? Dable just runs a beeline to the doctor and drops. What's going on, man?
Okay, cool.
Get my guy back in. We're going to the guy. I don't give an F. Get my quarterback on the field. I mean, that was not a good look by Dable there. I mean, he's going in the blue tent. Dude, what the hell's taking so long? Did you see that throw by Russell Wilson? I got that my guy back. So, but
I was going to say, not the fact that I don't like Russell. Right. So I that just made it even better. So go ahead.
I was surprised that we didn't hear anything about a fine unless you did and I missed it. I'm surprised that something didn't come down about that because you're bullying the team, the medical doctor, which, I mean, that's a no-no. Like, I can understand your passion, but it was a horrible look.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's go to fines. In the Detroit-Kansas City game, one gentleman, Mr. Branch, got fined for suspended. Not even fined, got suspended for actions at the end of the game. I loved it. It's the best way I can put it. I love it because if I'm Detroit, I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, you were sticking up for the other 52 guys on your team. That game, not because I don't hate the Patriots or the Chiefs. It's not a hate of the Chiefs. This was just egregious. This is what we have been complaining about for years. Stevie D, how can you go an entire game with no penalties?
I don't know. I have no idea because we average 13 a game, so I don't know.
Obvious penalties not being called.
Yeah.
Cheap shots not being called. And you're getting ticky-tack. I'm not a Lions lover by no stretch. And then after you do that, when you score, right, there's this new rule that they're trying to enforce, taunting. When you score, you're in the guy's face that you scored on. You spin the ball at his feet. You get up and you flex on him. You do some other things that are all gestures at this guy because you scored. There should have been multiple flags for taunting, and you got none.
Was that
That's
Juju Smith?
no, that would be Mr. Patrick Mahomes. That would be Patrick Mahomes, and nothing happened. And so then at the end of the game, you're still taunting and talking junk. And then when that happens, right, I'm already at 10.
Right.
And then I have you do this, and then Juju Smith, and then it unloads. And if I'm one of the players there, I'm good with that. I don't condone losing your head, but the game's over. Yes, we're going to lose you for a game, but I'm good with that. I really am. Now, when you do something like that, make sure you don't end up at the bottom of the pile. That's the only thing that I'll say, because that got kind of ugly at the bottom of the pile. I don't know the Chiefs. What are they? We don't know what they are. They're an enigma right now. I still am not convinced that this is a team that has it in them to make a run. But they certainly can do that if they have the 12th man, and I'm not talking about the fans. If they have the official on their side, they definitely can do it. What's Rob have to say on that? The KC games are not fixed, rigged, or schemed, but it is clear bias on the very same scale as the Pats. There's no doubt. No doubt. Oh, look who's here. Look who's here. There's Nick. Hey, Nick. And Nick is hello, gentlemen. All right. So I'm gonna say this though, Stevie D. They're not the same team with or without Rice. They're still not the same team. They are very much beatable. They
Sure, they're beatable, but they're not done. I mean, they're going to make their run.
what will allow them to make that run that we are all searching for is that they have a great head coach. That's what it is. Yours is to be determined. Mine is already has his stone set. You and we'll talk about that later. But he already has his stone set. They have a guy who learned maybe from his past, and he was already good, but he limited himself when he was with Philly and coming to Kansas City. It's like, okay, this is what I did wrong. Let me kind of change that, adjust that, right? Whether it be the control that he had, whether it be just the more camaraderie with the players, allowing them to have a little bit more input, right?
Yeah, I also
Yes.
say communication with the GM, right? I don't
Yeah.
know what he had over there, but what they have in Kansas City, they have a special relationship and they really get along and are seeing on the same page, right? When coach and GM are totally off, it generally doesn't work. So
That's a very good point. Sometimes a coach and GM can be on the same page and you still get nothing. We'll talk about that later as well. More to come on that. Stevie D, Joe Flacco made his debut for the Cincinnati Bengals. Didn't help. Maybe what, 10 more points for them as
yeah,
they lost 27-18.
I'll give Joe Flacco one game with a new team and a new offense. He got there. He has to learn things. I'll give him that. I don't think he's going to be a star, but I'll give him the first game. We'll see what you do in your second game. And if it's the same as the first game, then they made the trade. But I got to be honest with you. Mike Tomlin's comments were fantastic about what he said about the Cleveland Browns trading Joe Flacco in the division. to a team that's competing for a playoff berth. You trade a starting quarterback to a team that's pretty much dead and buried, and you give them life. I mean, I'm not, it's almost verbatim what he was saying at the podium. Because I don't understand the Cleveland Browns. How do you do that? And I agree.
The only way you could do that is if you are fleecing the other team in the trade.
Right.
If I come away with just ridiculous compensation, I'm sorry, Tomlin. This is what I'm getting in return.
Well, I think there is a lot of truth to that, right? If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I don't care about you, Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care that you're competing for a division title. I don't care about the Cincinnati Bengals. So for me, I'm with you. The argument is, Joe Flacco was a one-year guy, and we brought him in to set up our young quarterbacks until we're ready to turn it over. So they were able to flip a low-dollar signing into a fifth-round pick. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I could go with that because you and I both had talked about before the season started. Why do you have this 40-year-old guy on the roster when you have two rookies that are battling, right, to see who's going to be your number one starter? You got rid of Pickett, okay. Now you got rid of Flacco, and so now it's Gabriel and Shador. Speaking of Shador, have you seen the videos by his brother? I'm almost glad that he's not on the Buccaneers team.
Well, if he was on the Buccaneers, he wouldn't be doing this stuff. I think he's just having fun because he can.
I mean, he's given us these nuggets that are out there, and they are classic. I mean, whether he's pretending to be his father or pretending to be Shador, people wake up. Shador is not walking through the tunnels and the hallways of the stadium in his uniform for you to say, "Oh, can I get a picture?" Right? People are running over. Can I get a picture? Can I get your autograph? But he's on the verge. He's got to be careful, and I think he is so far. But there's a lot of him insinuating that Shador should be starting. Maybe is that just the best way to put it? So he's got to be careful because you don't want Stefanski already is kind of soft, right? Maybe on the edge, right? Get his feelings hurt a little bit. And then to have this come from the outside, he's got to listen to it in the media. I'm sure there's some talk in the clubhouse, in the locker room. So I don't know. It was interesting. Speaking of the Cleveland Browns, a former Cleveland Brown, Baker Mayfield, is he going to be our 2025 most valuable player of the NFL?
He is right now through 6. He's got a long way to go, right?
You mean Josh is not going to be back-to-back MVP? Is that what you're saying?
Not right now. But there's
more to talk about that. We'll have more on that later. There's a whole lot coming later, Stevie D. That's why I got the clock down there. It's ready to go because
I mean,
just
look,
in case.
That run by Baker Mayfield, and we talked about this before the show. I'm not a Baker guy. I was never a Baker guy in college. When he got drafted, I'm like, 1 overall for Baker Mayfield. Like, I was not there. That run that he had against the 49ers in a critical spot of the game where he was able to get away from the sack, roll out to his left, deke out a linebacker, cut in between 2 other players, dive head first with the ball reaching over to get the first down in the air because it was a critical play to get that first down. And his fire and passion, I was like, man, like that guy, that's the guy I want. That passion and energy. And he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he's playing really great, smart football. He's not turning it over. His touchdown to interception ratio is like 12-1. Just, man, that passion and energy. Missing 3 starting wide receivers.
You beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Just incredible. And the starting running back, Irving, was out. So
these guys have been out for multiple weeks too.
Right,
and
Evans,
keep rolling.
Godwin, right, like just.
And Booker just went down. He's out, I think, for a couple of weeks with a hamstring now, so he missed a lot of that game. you got no-name guys that are out there that are doing it.
Yeah.
More to come on that later when we talk about the Bills offense. Just saying. A little foreshadowing. That's all this is. Here's Rob talking about that.
Was that the next play?
In
That
the
was
end.
the next play? Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that was the next play because that run was ridiculous. Just, it was awesome to watch.
So there's a lot going on. We have the dual Monday night games, which if you're gonna, how come they can't get this right? How come you can't get this right? If you're gonna start a game at 7, start the next one at 8:30, so that way you get the first half of one. When they go to halftime, the other one gets started. They overlap, and then when the first game is over, you get to watch the second. It's not that hard, Stevie D. And now this one, they started at 7 and at 10. I'm not staying up. Go ahead.
Can we get better announcers for the other game?
Oh, Chris Fowler.
He's horrible. I didn't know his name. I couldn't remember his name. I knew the voice. I couldn't remember the name. He is horrible. Horrible. He wouldn't make the top 7 for CBS or Fox. Like, he would make the top 17. And okay, I'm going to do another thing. They got to do something with the London games with these announcers because Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner are no good, right? Are no good. I mean, at least Kurt Warner is brutally honest, and I can at least respect the brutal honestness instead of sugarcoating certain things, right? Where he just threw the Jets under the bus. But those two are not play-by-play guys, and either is the guy from ESPN. Like, I don't have a problem with Louis Riddick. I'm not a big Dan O guy. I got to be honest with you. I like Riddick. I'm not a Dan Orlovsky guy. I don't like him on the regular TV show. I don't know. I can't get out of my mind when he stepped out of bounds, and now he wants to criticize other quarterbacks when you run out of bounds for a safety. So I'm just not a big Dan O guy, and Chris Fowler is just all this money you spent to get to football, to convince the NFL to give you 2 Monday night games, and that's what you roll out for the other game? Horrible, ESPN. Horrible.
So I am not a Fowler fan. He does college. Stick to college and just do your college. I know that when our team is on, we pay a little closer attention to what's being said, and we're very critical, right? Pro or con, we're critical. But if you're going to say something and you make a mistake, hey, we all, Stevie D, you and I, we've made mistakes here on the podcast. Hey, Craig, we've made mistakes on the podcast. We come back and we say, oh, mea culpa, right? This is the way it was. But we try to be careful what we say so that when we're talking to you guys out there, that we're trying to give you as much accurate information as possible. A lot of stuff is our own opinion. A lot of stuff Rob is feeding us, and so when we say that, it's wrong. So you have to blame Rob with that. But aside from that, it's when I hear Fowler say, completely, he's looking at a guy's jersey and he's calling him by a different name. Like, and then a couple seconds later, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was so and so," and then you do it again. "Oh, I'm sorry." It's not like we have these cold rush jerseys on. It just keeps going on and on and on. And it's like, were you even there for the pregame meeting? Do you even look at the sheets? I mean, they give you the media guy. They give you all the documents you need to be successful. And if you're not, then stop. Then stop. And then say it when you have the facts and you're confident. Just horrible. And it's unwatchable. And then London, this whole waking up at 9 o'clock to watch a game. Some of us don't get in until 6 a.m. So that wasn't going to happen. But these 9 o'clock games. What? I don't know. All right, Stevie D. That's the segment of two grumpy old men right? You're now that you are part of the club, two grumpy old men, and I guess we should flip a coin. Who should go first? I mean, everybody, welcome to the pit of misery. That this is the barrel of disaster. Um, just who wants to go first? Flip
I'll
a
go.
coin.
I'll go first. I've been chewing on this for a long time.
All right.
Right. So, where do you begin with the Jets at 0-6? Right? Who would have thought an 0-6 start? You'd think you would have won at least 2 games at the very least. But I was hot on Sunday. I was hot. I was really hot after that game. Um, it was very disappointing from an offensive standpoint in what I saw. And, I love that we have the ability to watch different angles of the game, once it gets loaded on NFL.com, right? And I couldn't wait for it to get loaded. I kept checking when it was going to get loaded because what I saw during the game, I wanted to validate from a different camera angle. And look, the defense showed up. I give them credit. This was a totally different defense. They were in it. They had passion. They had pursuit to the ball. We had people in the right spots, in the right position. Like when Aaron Glenn talked about it in the post game, there were positives to come out of the game. There were from a defense side of the ball because we saw on the defensive side a different game plan. Now, we didn't necessarily get Bo Nix down to the ground, which I was hoping to get more of a pass rush. But Jermaine Johnson had an absolute impact on that defensive line. No, there's no hot seat, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Jermaine Johnson with the impact. Brownlee Jr., who we just got from the Titans for a bag of donuts, right? His first game creates a turnover on the second play of the game, made some big-time tackles, again, early in that game. People flying around the field. It was great to see defensively. Maybe that players only meaning, although what I found out, it wasn't necessarily an all players only meaning. They started it and then kind of coaches ended that meeting. But so we saw something there. So when our defense finally shows up, our offense decides to go on holiday, right? And it was. I'm not going to say it was the worst offensive performance I've seen this Jets team do. I'm not going to do that. But it was bad. And what was really bad about it, and I have to go to my notes here, is what I saw and what I posted a lot on Jets Hanger about. And so Justin Fields, when I watched the tape, Justin Fields' biggest problem is that there's a couple of things. I don't think he trusts himself to throw the ball because he had wide open, easy throws that he held on to the ball and wound up taking a sack. And I'll go over those here in a second. Because I think he's afraid to turn the ball over. I think he's afraid to miss his throw, and it brings down his completion percentage because he's afraid of losing a job. In week 1 against Pittsburgh, I know if we can dial it back 5 weeks, he made throws in tight situations and were very accurate and very successful, and he let it rip. Over the last 5 weeks, I've been seeing a regression from Justin Fields in throwing the football. And I've been watching it, and I'm like, yeah, he's not hitting the wide receivers. Oh, he's missing. He sees them, and he's not letting it go. And in this weekend's game, the first drive of the game, there was a pressure on Justin Fields, and he rolls out to his right. Garrett Wilson sees what's happening, breaks off his route, and kind of like, I'm not going to call it's like a seam route. He gets about 2 yards on the DB, maybe 1 yard, but enough where he had plenty of separation. And when he's doing the seam on the right hash, he's cutting towards the sideline. Justin Fields, when he's rolling out, does not have his eyes down the field. If he had his eyes down the field, he sees and hits Garrett Wilson on the run, and it's probably a touchdown because he's only got one guy to beat. Okay? That was throw number 1 on the first drive. What happens? We kick a field goal. He got 2 yards on the run out of bounds, but he missed the big play. And you know, Vince, big-time quarterbacks, they have their eyes down the field because they're throwers and they're looking for that receiver. Justin did not do that at all, and he had plenty of time to see it before he was nowhere near being out of bounds when Garrett made that move. Literally, he was right in front of him. Yes, and I talked to Vince about that, about Tyrant, so that's a very good call out there. Second drive, third down, he had Arian Smith, number 82, on a short crosser. I'm not saying it would have been a first down. Not saying it was a first down. He held the ball and I'm sorry, I had a different play. He had Arian Smith for the first down. He decided to check it down to the safe throw to Breece Hall, and Breece Hall got tackled immediately. Again, now maybe you don't trust 82. Then if you don't trust your receiver, then talk to somebody and get him off the field because he was open for the play. Not only was he catchable, it was a catch and turn upfield because there wasn't anybody there. He could have gotten at least 9 to 10 more yards after that catch. But he decided to play it safe with the check down to Breece Hall. On the fourth drive, he had Josh Reynolds on a shallow crosser. Instead of throwing it to Reynolds with no one open, he took a sack. With no one else open, Josh Reynolds was wide open. He decided to hold it, and he was looking at him. That was the bizarre part. He was staring right at him from the angle I had and didn't throw it, and he took a sack. After the fake punt, he had Breece Hall on a check down for 4 yards. Was not a first down. That's the one I was talking about. I had the wrong spot in the game. Had him for 4 yards. Didn't throw it to him. Took a sack. Mind you, I did the count. It was over 3 seconds he had the ball in his hands. So it wasn't like an immediate rush where he had no time. There were some of those on Sunday where the offensive line gave no time and he took a sack and it wasn't his fault. And then in the third quarter, this has been all over Facebook and people's groups. On third down, he had Arian Smith again on a shallow cross, and he had Mason Taylor on the out for the definite first down. People put screen captures. Nobody around in the shot for these two players. He doesn't throw the ball and takes another sack. And so when you're talking about a quarterback, and I appreciate the leniency to go through it, but this is a contention that Jet fans have had, is that the people that say it's not Justin Fields' fault, it's the coach's fault. Okay? I urge you to somehow get your hands on a tape to watch it up top. Because when you watch a game from up top, you see things that you don't see on TV. And it's absolutely Justin's fault. Now, I'm not saying we would have won the game, but we would extend possessions, move the ball, and maybe freed certain things up to do other things. And we had easy first downs that we didn't convert because our quarterback lacked the vision to see the whole field or lacked the confidence to deliver the ball. Because late in the fourth quarter, there were 2 throws to Garrett Wilson. One of them is the reason why he's out. Okay? Because it was so poorly thrown behind him that he wound up reaching back behind him to dive, and he took a shot to the knee. And he hyperextended it. Because our quarterback can't deliver an out throw, and it happened twice in the fourth quarter. So it's horrible that he can't deliver an easy out to a receiver. And there was times on the incompletions that he had that he was late delivering the ball, and it wasn't even close. When that guy goes to make that break, you have to trust your receiver is going to be in that spot. That ball's got to be out and there. Not when he breaks and you wait for 2 steps on the break and then the corner is already in that break and is able to swat it down. And if Justin Fields wants to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, he needs to figure it out quickly. Our coaching staff's got to point this out and figure out a way to get him to understand you've got to throw the football. Because he had plenty of time on a lot of drives to throw the football instead of taking a sack. There were times where, I don't know, Fast New, I don't know where you were. It would be nice to get a finger on the guy as the guy's going around you. And we had a couple of jailbreaks that are definitely not Justin Fields' fault. Definitely not. But what I saw Justin Fields against Pittsburgh versus what I saw this last week, it's 2 completely different quarterbacks. Why is that? Are the Jets telling him, do not make a mistake? Is it Justin Fields saying our defense has been so poor, I can't afford to make that mistake that cost us a game? I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, Justin, if you continue this route, you will be out as the starting quarterback because the New York media will hammer, and eventually Woody Johnson will make that phone call to Aaron Glenn. What are we doing? I don't believe to turn it over to Tyrod Taylor. That's not the answer. Tyrod's gone at the end of the year. You're not going to re-sign him. You just got to fix Justin Fields, or at 0-6, at some point at week 13, week 14, you got to see what Brady Cook has. Just to know what he's got, 14 games, even though I don't think he's ready to take an NFL snap. I wouldn't bench Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor at 0-6. I wouldn't do that. I mean, they asked the question, why didn't you bench Justin Fields at halftime off that awful performance in the first half? And I'm like, Aaron, I'm with Aaron Glenn. What kind of question is that? That's what he said at the podium. I'm going to take a guy out because he has a bad half? And I agree. Justin Fields did not play up until that point, I thought, all the time like it was his fault. I think the whole team collapsed in weeks 4 and 5 when you had key fumbles, and the whole team crapped the bed. Oh, here we go again. And it was Justin, it was the running backs, it was the offensive line, it was a combination of everything that went sideways. All right, and so that was our offense. Aaron Glenn, to address Rob's question, he's not on the hot seat. No, there's no way he's on the hot seat. Why? Because they all know they got a crap roster. That's what they all know. They all know they have a crap roster, and they have too many players on this team that are not coachable. I said it a couple of weeks ago. They're not listening. Look, you talk about penalties and stupid penalties, and those things still happen. The coach can only bench so many players because you don't have enough depth. At the end of the year, a lot of the stuff's going to be addressed, and those players are gone. Aaron Glenn doesn't have his guys. He doesn't have his roster. Yeah, they brought in a couple of free agents, but he was strapped with his roster with too many players on the contract that would cost you too much money to cut. Because Joe Douglas did that a lot. We kicked a lot of money down the road, and we're paying for that in dead money. We had $80 million in dead money. You're not going to add by cutting more people to add over $100 million in dead money. So you have to navigate this window of salary cap and dead money. I don't think he's on a hot seat. It takes time to build a program. I like what Aaron's going to do. I do have some advice for him at the podium. Is you're saying a lot of the same things over and over again. It's not a good look. Because when you say the same things over and over again and your team is not responding, that's a direct reflection on you. So you got to change it up. You have to criticize a little bit more. I thought he did that with Justin Fields. He did say Justin Fields didn't have a good game. It was good. I think he needed to call out a little bit of the offensive line because we had no running lanes. That's supposed to be bread and butter. Breece Hall got 22 carries. Wow. First time Breece Hall's got 22 carries, 59 yards. But you know what? That pressure, they did the numbers. Justin Fields gets plenty of time to throw the ball. They ran the numbers on the offensive line, Rob. It is actually pretty good. Very good. He's holding the ball, right? And when you look at Justin Fields early against Pittsburgh, he got the ball out quick, and he was very efficient. He's not doing that now. He's holding the ball over 3 to 3.5 seconds. Think about that. 3 to 3.5 seconds, your starting quarterback's holding the ball. How can you blame your line at 3-3? Right, Vince? I mean, think about that. 3 to 3.5 seconds, you're going to blame your offensive line and not giving you protection? It is the same thing over and over again. He's got to make that statement up. So I felt that was very therapeutic to get that out. Hopefully, I didn't spend too much time on it.
You're good. No buzzer. You're good.
It was, because again, fans, we're passionate. You want to win. Every fan base is passionate and want to win, and we're impatient. 15 years, man. It's embarrassing. 107 losses in the last 10 years without counting this year. Or maybe that does count the losses from this year. That's an embarrassment of a franchise. I'm sorry. There's no way around it. You're almost in a class by yourself, but we have company with the New York Giants because they're at 100. So we're in somewhat of company. But it's an embarrassment, right? But You're not going to flip a bad organization just like that. Not with a rookie quarterback and rookie coordinator and Tanner and Strand. It's not. It's and a rookie GM. It's going to flush out. And I know it's the phrase that everybody hates to say and trust the process. But unfortunately, we have to give Aaron an opportunity to bring in people that once they go out from under contract, bring in people that maybe fit his scheme better, that don't have the stink of 107 losses, right? Some of that is stink in the clubhouse. I think you got to get rid of people that are not buying into everything he's selling. So there's a culmination of things that have to happen. And I know that's a tough word to say in front of you, Vince, because that's the words that your coach gave, and you got opinions on that.
That's why I'm laughing.
Right. But, from the Jets, I'm pissed off when we lose, and it takes me 24 to 48 hours to get some semblance. And if people on Jets Hanger know, I really didn't comment on Jets Hanger. Jets Hanger was blowing up on Sunday. I was so upset I really couldn't make any comments because I was seething over it. And I had nothing good to say. And so, we had the timer going. So I had nothing good to say, so don't say anything at all. And that's what I did. And by the time I got to day 3, serenity now, destruction later. But I came to peace with it, and we'll move on to Carolina.
Really? You're at peace? This is the therapy group. You got, yeah. Oh yes. Yes. This
Look,
all
at some
right.
point, you got to turn the page, right? And you got to get on next week and hope that the defense stays steady with what they did, build off of that performance, and then they figure out on the offensive side of the ball, and they fix some things on the tape. So it's Wednesday, right? Injury reports come out today. Time to move on.
Okay.
This is where I need my popcorn, because this is where it's going to get really good. I just want to be able to eat that popcorn.
And we're off. And I think, Stevie D, for tonight's show, we are just going to sit here for 15 minutes. And we're not going to say a word, because I know we're not governed by the FCC. But there are internet police, there are young kids, there are women, there are children of all ages that could be watching this podcast, as well as current employers, as well as future employers, as well as previous employers. There's family members that all have looked at me in a certain way. And I do not want to destroy that image by the incompetence, by the just failure of one Terry Pagula. See, I shocked you there. You thought that I was going after McDermott. You thought I was going after Bean. No, one Terry Pagula. And this is what I talked about on Rapid Reaction. And the more and more, Stevie D, that I think about this, oh, by the way, I have updated the scroll at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, so that if Brandon Bean happens to be watching this podcast, maybe he can reach out to any one of these players that are in the scroll that can hopefully come in and just get rid of those clowns that are wearing a Bills jersey. But Terry Pagula, Stevie D, and here's why. Because what you expect in your organization is accountability. That's what you want. You want the players to hold themselves accountable. You expect the coordinators and the coaches to hold the players accountable. You expect the head coach to hold his staff, as well as the players that are under him, hold them accountable. You expect the GM to be held accountable by the owner, the coach to be held accountable by the owner. So it goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. There should be accountability. When I see a team that goes out there and they think about all of what they did yesterday and expect that to translate into today, you're not doing your job. And I need to hold you accountable. Brandon Beane, I'm holding you accountable. Sean McDermott, I'm holding you accountable. Joe Brady, I'm holding you accountable. And Bobby Babbage, I'm holding you accountable. Those should be the words coming out of Terry Pegula's mouth. Yes, you were a very, very focused and excellent team as far as generating turnovers. Those turnovers that you had last year, plus your lack of turning the ball over, created the disparity and really gave you the edge up. That's not happening this year. And not that you can't get turnovers, but understand that turnovers, you go for them, but that's kind of like the cherry on top. I'm okay to have a Sunday Stevie D without a cherry on top. But that means that I have to have the base and the body has to be good. When my defense is inept at stopping the run, they're not good. When my secondary is inept at stopping the pass, they're not good. There's problems there. And for you, Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, not to see that there's problems, you're not being accountable to yourself, to the team, and the owner is not holding you accountable. Now, we saw midweek very quiet, and I told you, Stevie D, this is Jordan Poyer coming in. DeMar Hamlin ended up on the injury report, and next thing you know, he's gone. Right? And here comes Jordan Poyer. They hadn't said it, and then it was like the day before. That's the world's worst secret, right? Everybody knew that was going to happen. But be man enough to say, hey, we're having struggles in our secondary. Our safety play is not good. We can see it with our own two eyes. Be man enough to say, hey, call people out. Cole Bishop, you're horrible. Taylor Rapp, you're horrible. I have to sit one of you down and bring in a geriatric to come in to do better than you. Stevie D, I told you in Madden, he's 70s. These guys are 60s. They may have regressed to 50s in the next Madden update. That's how bad they are.
You know, as this scroll's going, because you're talking about safeties, there's some names out there.
There are.
There's some names out there.
But you have not only the safeties, the love affair with Trey. I love you, Trey. You will always be a Buffalo Bill. There's this invisible line, and yours is not invisible. Hear me out. There's an invisible line where all of a sudden you realize I can't do it anymore. Matt Milano has hit that invisible line. Right? Milano comes back and he tries and he tries and he tries, but it's starting to happen at a far greater frequency. He's hit that line. It's invisible. He doesn't realize it. Trey, you are coming back off of injury. You have been cut by your previous team, which I think he was cut by the Rams, and then cut by the Ravens. And so now you're back here with the Bills. But understand why. You're a former first rounder. You're still young, but you have suffered injury after injury that really now takes away what your game is or was. Yes, we love you, but it's time. You have become such a detriment to that defense. Just think about this. In the last 2 weeks, Stephon Diggs, 10-plus catches, 100-plus yards. Drake London, 10-plus catches, 100-plus yards. And that's because of you. You're the one after a 20-yard game looking around, trying to point a finger like, oh, I didn't know. Weren't you going to help me? You're asking those two safeties to help you? That in itself is egregious. You should be looking at Benford or looking at one of the linebackers or looking to the bench to help you, not those clowns. You expect Bishop to get in position? That in itself says it's time for you to go. You don't know who's on your team. Then you can't stop the run. I'll give McDermott, Babbage, and Bean the benefit of the doubt with this. I'll say this. You're waiting on certain things to happen. You were waiting for Ed Oliver to get back. You're waiting for Okojobi and Hoyt to come off suspension. So you haven't made any moves there. You feel kind of confident with what you have. That's a wait and see. I do believe that defensive line is by far the best part of that entire defense. I do believe that. But they're all going to have to show up. In number 57, how you have such a horseshoe to be able to find the camera. You just are. I sometimes it turns my stomach just to see you on the field. Let me go to the offensive side, Stevie D. When I look at the offense, I'm going to tell the five guys up front, man up. You want to be considered the best in the league, then man up. You have been getting beat week after week after week. Now, could it be that Spencer Brown is hurt? Could it be that McGovern is still having lingering injuries? Maybe so. But Dawkins, you want to talk all of this. If you're going to talk, then you need to show up. You can't talk and run your mouth and let people just blow right past you. I don't care if they're blitzing or not. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Wide receivers, do your job. You got Keon Coleman, a big wide receiver. Now, he has to run the routes that are called for him, but if he is not winning his battle, Josh will never throw to you. You are a big physical receiver. Do your job. It's not a lot I could say when I look at the rest of the wide receivers except for Shakir, because who else do I have? Shavers, yeah, we like you, but you're still too young and too raw. Except for Tampa had a rookie wide receiver that went for a touchdown. You had a one-handed catch in preseason, and that's it. Running backs, there's only one running back. That's a coaching problem, why the other two are even in the game. So I leave Cook, I'm going to leave you alone. Josh, this one may be a surprise, Stevie D. Josh, get your head out your... Josh, you need to start to man up. I don't know if it's Madison Avenue. I don't know if you're high off the MVP. I don't know if you're high off of the marriage. What is it? You're not playing the way that Josh has played in 2024, 2023, 2022. All this pump faking BS as you're trying to run down the field, you're giving the defender time to close the gap. Just run. Take that momentum and run him over or hop over him like you did before. You can't do that. The little flick pass, what is this? What do you think, you're Patrick Mahomes? Throw the ball. These are little things, Josh, that you should be doing so you have accountability. But let's go to the coaches. I'm done with McDermott, Stevie D. I'm done. I've said it year after year after year. I'm done with McDermott. He's got to go. You are part of the problem. But you have your two coordinators. You have Bobby Babbage. Bobby Babbage is like a head coach in Dallas. Sean McDermott is a defensive coordinator. Bobby Babbage takes the orders from Sean McDermott. You are there in title only. When it's good, McDermott will let you get the credit, but he's going to take the credit. When it's bad, it's your fault, Bobby Babbage. Good luck with that one. Let's move over to Joe Brady. Joe Brady, you want to get all the pats on the back. I already told you, we have figured you out. You are a run-heavy type offensive coordinator? No problem with that. You changed Josh's game. That's how Josh got the MVP. Under Dable and Dorsey, Josh was throwing the ball all over the place. They were scheming receivers wide open. We only had one that was quote unquote a name wide receiver, but these guys were being schemed wide open. Even a Gabe Davis was schemed open for a 98-yard touchdown. Even a Gabe Davis was schemed open for a 4-touchdown playoff game. 200 yards. Joe Brady, you decided that you want to shrink the field, which is fine. You can be creative within a short combined field. When you do that, you reduce the turnover rate. When you do that, you raise the completion rate. These are all good things. But did you forget about a thing called a screen? Did you forget about that? Did you forget about a thing called a swing pass? Stevie D, let me tell you about a game against the Falcons. You go into the game against the team that blitzes the most in the NFL. You know what you're going into. There's no surprise. It's not like a read and react zone team that all of a sudden switched it up to man and they're blitzing you and you didn't expect it. You knew what you had. You knew who Ulbrich was. You knew what his defense was. And what do you decide to do? You decide you're going to have Josh do 5 and 7 step drops. Really, does that make a lot of sense? Does that make a lot of sense? You're going to bypass all of the short, underneath, quick, and hot routes, and you're going to let Josh look down the field 15, 20 yards with receivers who can't get open, so he has to sit there and hold on to the ball. Does that make sense? When the Bills played the Steelers, and I will never forget this, back during the Dable days, the Steelers were heavy blitz. And what did we do? It was nothing but slants and drags all the way down the field to the point that the Steelers didn't know what to do because their blitzes weren't working and they had to come out of it. You forced them. You dictated. Instead, what do, Joe Brady? You decide on a 3rd and 1, instead of giving it to Josh, the biggest quarterback out there, you decide that you're going to try to do a little fancy trick play. Did it work last week? Nope. Did it work this week? Nope. So, Stevie D, I have not a lot to say. That's why all of what you think you heard, those were just the thoughts through my head. And my time is up here. I never really voiced any of that. That is all stayed internal. And as you can see, I stayed calm, at least to the public here. I stayed calm.
So let me dive into a couple of the last comments you made, right? Because there was the head scratcher on the 3rd and 1. I mean, you mentioned it. You got the biggest quarterback in the league. You got, the 3rd or 4th highest paid running back in the game to get you 1 yard. And you're doing a jet sweep to Elijah Moore, who honestly, at the end of the day, is not a player I think you can trust yet in Buffalo for those type situations. Now, I don't know whose fault that was, if that was Josh Allen's fault on the handoff or that was Elijah Moore's issue. But that play, you know how they say things are a fireable offense? That's a fireable offense. That was just stupid. You don't need to do that. I think you said it best. When you got to run a trick play, because you don't got anything else. And you have a lot more. You got
let me ask you this question. I know you don't watch a lot of Bills games, but you've watched some, especially the primetime ones.
When they don't conflict with the Jets, I watch them just so when we talk Bills on the show, right?
In all the times this year that they've had 3rd and 1, and Rob and Joey, if you're still out there, anybody that is a Bills Mafia, Bills fan, how many times have they run Josh out of QB sneak this year? There you go. That look that you just gave, that says it all. Last year, they did it all the time, right? I'm not saying that you have to run it 99% of the time like the Eagles do. I'm not saying that. But there's times in the game, certain points, where it matters. When you're down 7 in the second half, it matters. If this was the second quarter, maybe in the first quarter, and it was a 3rd and 1, and you said, well, let's just try this. Wouldn't be happy, but okay. Okay, right? We got time. When you're down, the clock is your enemy. You're in the second half. That enemy is really staring you. You're looking staring down the barrel. And that's what you're going to do?
Yeah, you brought it up about the swing pass or the screens. It's pretty wild that most teams, when they have a pass rush like that, you go to screens to check them.
Stevie D, tell him this is common.
Believe me. He's gotten more mellow in his older age, but this is really tame. But I mean, that point you made about the screens, right? You don't do anything different. It's odd. It's like, you know how we joke around, is the NFL scripted? You go around on that particular game, you're like, who is this team? Right? Because they're not. This is not what you're used to seeing, and it's so bizarre on the offense side of the ball. I mean, Josh Allen, when they pan to him, obviously they pan to him all the time, which is unfair to him. I feel bad because you always feel like you got to know when you're on camera. He looked bewildered. He looked lost. I'm not going to say he looked scared, but the look in his eyes was not the killer instinct you would expect from a top-notch quarterback. It was weird. And maybe it was the blitz. Maybe it was he's pissed off that we're not changing things up. I can't believe he doesn't have the ability to change that up at the line of scrimmage on his own. Where he look or say to him on the sideline, Joe, dude, you got to help me out with these screens or something because I'm getting wrecked back here and you're not helping me.
Does that come because you have a defensive coordinator or a defensive-minded guy as your head coach?
If that is the case, when you have the ultimate weapon in Josh Allen, the ultimate weapon, right? He is, from his legs to his arms, his small. He's got it all. That's pretty sad.
I've heard
You
this.
mentioned that 3 years ago. Like
I-
3 years ago, you talked about that, right? Where he didn't have trust in Josh Allen. You felt like he didn't trust him.
I've heard this mentioned, and I don't want to make this all Bills talk here, but I heard this mentioned, and then I started paying attention to it, and then you start thinking back, and you're like, I think they're right. Part of the offensive game planning, Stevie D, is to protect the defense because they know how bad that defense is, that they don't want the defense on the side on the field. And so if you go to a heavy conservative type play calling game, right, where you're not just airing it out, even if you go down the field and you get a touchdown, right? We've seen them go down the field, 6 plays, 2 minutes, right? The defense didn't even get a chance to get a blow, and next thing you know, you're kicking off and they're back on the field. They don't want that to happen, and that very well could be what's happening, but your offense isn't producing
Because you're not playing their game.
right. But if your offense doesn't produce and your defense doesn't produce, guess what? You're 4-2, literally should be 1-4. You got lucky against the Saints. You got lucky against the Dolphins. I don't know how much luck it is with Bernard's interception because that was Tua.
That was
That's just Tua being Tua. You knew it was going to happen. It wasn't if, it was just when. The Saints, they had a running back throw the ball. So are you that lucky that you intercept? I mean, it's like hitting a home run off of a outfielder, right? When it's a blowout. Hey, should that really count, right? The guy throwing the ball in there 60 miles an hour, that's like batting practice. I guess it counts, right? So I guess Bishop gets a tick for an interception.
Look, I've told you how I felt about your offense. I don't, when they're doing the right play calling, because I can't say that I've seen the right play calling at least the last 2 weeks. But when I've seen your team click with the right play calling, I don't know how the offense is stoppable. It's like Joe Brady's getting in the way.
He is.
Of you guys just running up and down the field offensively. because we talked about the wide receivers. You may have not household names in the receivers, but it's your quarterback is putting the ball where it needs to be to let those players make that play. And the last couple of weeks is just not the same. It's bizarre. And when we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, right, where they're 3-3, the AFC truly is wide open. And so
It
you
is.
got to get it together, right, to show what you can do. Um, it's wide. It's literally not what I thought the AFC was going to be. It's wild to see what it is this year. I'm surprised by some of the teams.
Rob put up two things. One thing, it's funny he put up because then I wasn't the only one to see this, right? So they ran a screen to Ty Johnson, right? And this is true. And he caught it. And then Stevie D, you know, when you throw the screen, you're on one side of the hash. You have anywhere to go. And he catches it. And it's almost like the Madden, when you play Madden, you say, oh, Madden's cheating.
Right.
Because he could not go anywhere else except for the two defenders that are standing side by side. Like, where are you going? You got all this open space here. And it's like he was dead set determined that, like, I'm going here. And he gets tackled for no gain.
I saw the play. I saw the aftermath because I was doing something. My head was turned. And then when I came back, I saw Ty Johnson on the ground on that play. And I didn't know because I had the TV on mute. I didn't know that it was a screenplay because I missed the beginning part of the play.
You are right about that, Greg. You are right about that. But one other thing, and I'll make this short, Stevie D. I'll make this short. So, Rob, you put up there the ISOs to Coleman are not working. That is correct. He's not an X receiver, and I don't disagree with that. But here's what I will say. I'm not in love with all of our wide receivers. Love Shakir. He's got the shake, the shimmy. He's got whatever, right? He's got it. So he could turn a 1 yard into a 20-yard. He's got it. Coleman has value. Okay? All the rest, I don't know. Palmer's injury is big. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what wide receivers you have out there. It matters who is calling the plays. It matters how they have devised the scheme for the routes that are being run. We saw a list of names that used to be in New England that you had no idea who these guys were. These guys would leave that team and would end up getting cut from other teams because they weren't great wide receivers. We knew it. They knew it. They just weren't good. But in that system, they were schemed to become Pro Bowlers. How is that possible, Stevie D, that I can be a Pro Bowler in one system and then leave as a free agent and get cut because I can't do anything? And it's not because of PED. Go ahead.
Because they cheat.
Well, that too. Then we need to start cheating too. But that too. But and as much as I don't like Josh McDaniels and I don't like, who was it? Charlie Weiss. Not that I don't like these guys, right? But they schemed the players open. They created different route combinations and patterns. They knew how, if you ran a stack and you ran, certain things, you could get rub routes, you could get pick routes, you could get all of that, and lo and behold, the guy is open. There's only been one play that has been called that is always open by Brady, and actually it was called by Dorsey. It was actually called by Dorsey, so it's still in the playbook. But that was the half motion by Shakir or whoever's in the slot, brings the guy with him, turns around, comes back. As soon as he hits the tackle, the snap of the ball, and he's wide open because the guy in man coverage is still stuck behind the other linebacker, and he can't get over there, and he's wide open. That's the only one where you scheme the guy open. Do the same thing with your other wide receivers. Lo and behold, all of a sudden you can go beyond that. Lo and behold, we can have guys catching 3, 4, 5 balls for 50, 70, 100 yards. That can happen. I'm tired. I'm tired. This team has worn me out. Tired of fighting. I'm tired of arguing, Stevie D. This is painful. This is a painful reality. I've stopped drinking the juice, and now I'm kind of snapping out of it, and that's why I told you we're the same. We just have some fake numbers ahead that gives us 3 more wins, but we're the same. We are the same. We're different. We're different. You have a new guy at head coach who you believe in that has a chance, an opportunity to prove himself. I have somebody that is established that has proven that his ceiling is here and he can't go any higher. Your guy is learning as the head guy. Your ceiling is much higher right now. So that's good for you. Yes, you'll say I have Josh and you have Justin. Fair enough. We could go tit for tat. But at the end of the day, we're still the same. We're
Yeah,
two teams that can't get out of our own way.
it's a fair point. Definitely a fair point. With the Sean McDermott, is that he shows the same colors every year, and he's not showing the things that you need to do to take that next step, right? And then that's the frustration because you have a team. Maybe you don't have a championship defense this year, but you have a championship offense that can score mega points, and so that from that point, it's disappointing when you go drives without scoring points, back to back 3 and outs. I don't understand it. You know me, I'm not a Bills fan, but I watch enough because of you for the show, and I marvel how you don't score or how you get 3 and outs because I can see games even against good defenses where it is a track beat and the defenses don't know what hit them because you guys are whipping it on them and they're play calling. They don't know what the hell's going on, and you're going down the field time and time again. Games without a punt. So it's all there. And so when I watch a team score 14 to 17 points, and I know the Falcons have a highly rated defense this year, but at the end of the day, it's the Buffalo offense. And in the week before against the Patriots, I don't look at the Patriots and say, man, their defense is a top-notch defense. I don't understand. 17 points per game the last 2 weeks, 33 the first 4.
The magic number, the number 17. That's the jersey I got on, 17, right? 17-year drought for the playoffs. 17 points per game. Number 17 is the magic number. I am going to tell you, though, that 17 for the years of not making the playoffs, that will be the demise of this franchise under Sean McDermott.
Why is that?
Because we as Bills fans were so thirsty, so hungry, so close some seasons, so far away other seasons, right? We ran the gamut, right? You had the 3-13 season, you had the 8-8s, you had the 9-7s, right? We had all of that. Always missed the playoffs. 17 straight. Couldn't get to the playoffs. Desperately wanted to be in that conversation. When it finally happened, for many, it was like they had just won the Super Bowl. They got to the playoffs. Congratulations, we got the wild card. We got to the playoffs, but you got to the playoffs. And that was, to them, that was reaching the pinnacle. Without really having your eyes on the bigger picture. Not being satisfied. If you're satisfied, you really don't make the changes, right? We haven't really made the changes. We've been satisfied and content that we made the playoffs. Here's where it needs to go after dark. Because I don't give a bleep. It's either win or go home. You either win the Super Bowl or if you come in second, if you lose, you're the same as a guy that finished 0-17. You're still a loser. The difference is the guy that went 0-17 is trying to figure out what he can do so that he can win and start stacking those wins. When you get to a certain point, you feel like you've made it, you're content.
There you go.
That's where we are. 17 is going to be the downfall. Instead of 13 seconds, it might as well have been 17 seconds.
Well, I tell you, you opened the 15-minute window, and you mentioned Terry Pagula. Right, that was like the first thing you mentioned, and Terry's the one that's got to light the fire on that coaching staff and that GM, and threaten wholesale changes if you guys don't figure this stuff out. I will go in a different direction. But like you've told me, does he have the guts to do it? Right? Can he do that? Can he go in that room and do it? And maybe that's what Sean needs to hear to wake him up.
And unfortunately, if you are a Buffalo, not just a Bills fan, if you are a Buffalo fan, you know that Terry Pagula owns the Sabres. And you see what's been going on with the Sabres for almost 17 years, and nothing has happened. Yeah, they made coaching changes. That's what happened with the Bills. You did the tank, which I thought was the greatest thing in the world. I do give you credit for that, but then you can't even do that right. And you blow the lottery. Instead of getting McDavid, you get the bum Eichel.
What year was that?
He's gone. What's that?
What year was that?
Oh, God, that's been about, 6 years ago now? And so you trade Eichel, you get Alex Tuck, and you get Peyton Krebs back in return. Now Alex Tuck wants out. So really what you're telling me, I traded Eichel for Peyton Krebs? Are you kidding me? But that's the owner. The same owner that hired a soccer coach to be your head coach in hockey. Yes.
What? A soccer
Yes.
coach?
Yes.
They brought back Lindy Ruff?
That was before they brought back Lindy. Yes. Let that sink in. Just let that sink in. So we're just happy with being mediocre. That's what it is. I want more. There's certain guys that want more. But if you're happy just giving us what in the world? Sabres have scored 7 goals. Oh, make it 17 and it's our magic number. What in the world is going on?
Save some of those for another night.
You better believe it. First 2 games we scored 1. You better believe it. Oh, well, that's going to wrap this up. I need to watch this. We may never get a shot to see this in this season. Stevie D. Yeah, that's why I say it's, maybe you're right. Maybe it's getting older. It wears on you. It really does. It wears on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's wearing on me with this fertility of, I'm just going to say play good football. We're just not playing good football for years, right? It is what it is. You just
It's a great question. It's a great question, Rob. I'll tell you, here's the answer. And Stevie D, I don't know if you can say this for Woody or not. So Rob's question is, when is it not going to be enough just being relevant? And why don't we do this? I'm going to answer for the Jets, and I want you to answer for the Bills. Okay?
I put that question back up I think I got my answer.
Okay. From a Jets perspective, it's when you have an owner who is a true owner and not worried about the media, but worried about the wins. Not worried about his image or what he's doing, but is worried about the wins. When that happens, then you start to see good decisions. And quite possibly, maybe that has happened as of late. Maybe he has talked to his brother. Maybe he has taken some advice, because we do see something different this year than what we've seen in years past. But what we saw in years past was more of jet setting, being an ambassador, having drip, having swag, wanting to be on the TV. That's not it. It's about wanting to win.
That's a good answer. I agree there. Woody has stepped to the background. He's not in the forefront, and he's letting his football people do football things. For you, it's hard for me to answer for you in your organization. I just think you need your owner to kind of put his fan hat on for the Robs and the JTs and the Vinces of the world, and go into that room and hold his staff accountable and saying, I am spending all this money. You have everything you want to win. I approve everything that you need to win. And either you're going to fix this and turn this ship around, or I'm going to find somebody who can.
Yep. I agree.
Because those are tough decisions. Look, anybody that's in any job that's in a leadership role has to have tough conversations with employees. You don't like to have those conversations. Nobody wants to have that tough conversation. But sometimes the tough conversation is for the good of the employee. And you hope the employee is listening to what you say, and then that employee becomes the best employee in the company. Because that's what we want for employees, right? You give them advice, stuff that's not going well. You hope they listen to it and they run with it, and they become the best employee they can. Yep. And that's what Terry needs to do right now with his staff. Because it goes back to what you said when you put the scroll down. You have opportunities for players out there that can make a difference. You're just a couple of pieces away of plugging these holes to fix what you need for your defense to be whole, right? Look, your top draft pick hasn't played it down yet. Eventually, he's going to get on the field, and hopefully he can contribute and really take over for Trey. But you are going to need more secondary help there from a DB perspective. You need some help with the safety. I couldn't tell you. It didn't look like Jordan Poyer was a difference maker out there that night. So there's still plenty of safeties out there that you can draw in. And let me tell you, it's not going to cost you a fortune. Why? It's because your team is built to win. So a guy's probably willing to take less to be on a championship-style team. So you tell me, out of all those free agents out there, there's not somebody that fits your defensive scheme that could be an impact. I think there is.
I'll tell you, and I think you hit it again. Just to bring up Rob's question, I'll say this, DVD, and you're right. It's from the owner, but you have to change your hat. Become a Jerry Jones. Become a Glazer. Become those guys that they don't care. To your point, they don't care about anything except for winning. Now, you don't have to go through the antics of a Jerry Jones. I'm not saying that. But it's that mindset that what's most important is raising that Lombardi. If that's what's most important to you about getting that trophy, you will do whatever it takes. If that means that you have to trade for a head coach like the Buccaneers did, they traded with the Raiders to get Gruden. They had a future Hall of Famer coach in Tony Dungy, and they said, he can only take us so far. We need this guy. Well, how do we get him? He's under contract. He's with another team. They didn't care. They went after him, and they got him. Right after that, they're hoisting the Lombardi trophy because they had the talent on the team. They just needed something. That's the guy. That's the mindset of the owner. I don't care what it takes. Go get it.
You know, I don't know. We have to wrap it up. Sean McDermott is not a stupid man. He's done some really good things in Buffalo. I can't believe he can't let Josh be Josh and tell his offensive coordinator to make adjustments in the game and trust your offense and don't be passive. That's what's so unbelievable, that you have the ultimate weapon. In the last 2 weeks, you
YouTuber.
where to go. Is that who I thought it was?
Yeah, it was YouTuber.
All right. Oh yeah, he likes your frosted. What do they call it? Ice jerseys?
Cold rush or something like that.
Cold. So that's what I don't understand about a sport like Tony Dungy. Okay, you had what was it, Sean King. Okay, you didn't have the best quarterback out there, right? So you really wanted to lay on your defense. So I can understand that, but ultimately they wanted to go to more offensive minded, knowing that Monty Kiffin had the defense locked down. In this day and age, you're a smart man. You know what you have offensively. You've seen what you can. You're on the field to see what they can do and the points you could put up. Why would you do that? Why would you bottle them up? It's mind blowing to me. This is not the Buffalo Bills when Josh was a sophomore in the league or a junior in the league, right? Where you had trust issues, where I guess maybe he had turnovers that were a concern. I think he's proven that last year. He doesn't turn the ball over. Why are you okaying the offense to be bland? It's mind blowing. Wake the F up, dude. Wake the F up. Like you wish you can just smack him in the face. Wake up. Because in a blink, it's going to be over. And then you're going to sit back when you're in your rocking chair. Man, I really screwed up the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. I could have had multiple Super Bowls if I, woke the hell up. It's unbelievable. You're wasting that.
It's so funny you say that because time is so short and it goes so fast that your run is going to be over. And you're going to look back. And what do we always say? When you go through life, you don't want to have regrets. You don't want to look back and say, man, I wish I would have. You had the opportunity. Rob has pointed out 9 seasons. I'll give you 6 of those seasons. You should be looking back saying, man, I wish I would have. You had a superstar in Diggs. You had a good receiver in Gabe Davis. You had a solid defense. You were running around with the best safeties. We're worried about finding a safety off the street. You had the best safeties out there.
Yeah, and you just kind of really talked about that, right? Where that window, Milano's breaking down. You got no safeties. You got trouble on one side with the corner, right? Your defensive line, I don't think is hurt, but obviously they could use some pass rush. I mean, Bosa showed flashes there for a couple of games. It seemed like he's been quiet the last couple, but it starts happening, right? That window, those smart players that maybe one day will be in your ring of honor, right? Or getting old, getting hurt, and you don't have the backfill in place, right, through the draft.
Yeah.
Right? What I mean, Bill Belichick always used to say, "I'd rather get rid of a player a year too early than a year too late." And so now, what you're seeing is you don't have that depth behind a Milano that is ready to take that reins as your main linebacker. And now Milano's breaking down, and you're not as strong there. Your safeties, I don't think they really ever had a plan for the 2 safeties because I don't think they really drafted anybody.
No, they drafted Bishop. That's why Bishop is playing, because Bishop was anointed as I think it was 2nd round pick, and he was anointed as the next great safety. He fit the mold of everything they wanted. And if Rob is still watching, Rob will tell you how much Rob loved the Cole Bishop pick. Right? It was a horrible pick. It was absolutely horrible. But see, when you're stubborn, when you're locked into your guy, even though your guy has proven that, you know what, sorry, coach, I'm really not it. Thank you for choosing me. I'll take that second round pick money and I'll see you later. You're stuck. You're stuck. So, yeah, I'm good. Are you good over there?
I'm good in the fact of I know what we are and where we're going to finish. So from that perspective, I'm good. I'm not thrilled, but I'm not like most Jet fans that not most. Our fan base is torn with Aaron Glenn. Everybody wants that instant success. And you have to, we talk about issues, and sometimes you got to peel it back to find the root cause. And Aaron Glenn is going through that right now, and it's rough. And we have to be patient. Another person said it. You just can't change out an organization like that and then start again, right? We have to be fair to Aaron Glenn, allow him to put his stamp on the team. If you thought Justin Fields was going to step in and lead us to the promised land in year one, come on, people. That's not the reality. You saw this team last year that was loaded, and they won 5 games, and they were loaded. Well, on paper, they were loaded. What does that really mean? You're loaded only if you win. If you're not winning, there's no such thing as having a loaded roster. So, yeah, what I'm looking for now each week, Vince, it's really simple. It's the little things that show that improvement. Like last week, we didn't have stupid penalties that we've had in the past. Our defense, we talked about it. We're on the same page. They had great communication. They tackled really well for 3 quarters, not so much in the first quarter, but they got better as the game went for tackling. So we saw those improvements. The offensive side, unfortunately, regressed in that one particular game. I'm not doing an alarm, but it's, again, those little steps that you want to see in the progression, and then hopefully in the back half of the year, things start clicking.
It just dawned on me thinking about your team and thinking about what you said. Could you not be almost the 2025 mirror image of the first year of Sean McDermott's Buffalo Bills?
I don't recall the first year of McDermott's Bills, and I know they went to the
But
playoffs, but
we didn't start off 0-5 or 0-6. We weren't there.
0-6. I mean, we got to call it right.
0-6. But think about it. You have a new coach, defensive coordinator, comes in, brings his own quarterback that everybody knows that he is a bridge quarterback. And they're hoping that they can get a couple years out of him. I wouldn't be surprised you don't go quarterback next year. That's what Buffalo didn't do. Matter of fact, Buffalo traded would-be pick to Kansas City.
Oh, no, we're going quarterback.
Maybe not. Maybe not, because what we did now, Tyrod was playing a lot better than what Justin's playing, right? So to that point, maybe so. But maybe I think the goal of Buffalo at that time was, let's put all the pieces in place before we go after that quarterback. And I do think that they looked at that class, which was an amazing class, right? If you think about it, except for maybe Rosen. But at least coming out there, I mean, you had top names that had potential across the board, including Lamar at the back end of the draft, right? So maybe the year before they said, let's pass this year and let's go after somebody that next year. I don't know just yet what the quarterback class looks for next year.
Oh, this quarterback is about 6 or 7 quarterbacks deep from everywhere.
Okay.
Analysts are saying 6 or 7 top quarterbacks.
And so maybe if it's that many first rounders coming out in that, then I see that. But it just seems very similar where you get the bridge quarterback. It's time to start kind of trusting the process, getting rid of the dead fat, prove it or you're gone type deal. We talked about the Marcel Darius type thing. Prove it or you're gone. Well, you're gone, right? And it shocked everybody. Don't be surprised if there are moves that are made. Now, obviously cap ramifications may determine that. But don't be surprised if there's bigger names that are let go, that are not buying into the system, not buying into the process of what they're trying to do, because it just feels very similar as to, and you'll get to a point. And when you get to that point, oh, look who's here just before Simon sign off. It's Alex. Hey, Alex.
What's up, buddy?
So it just, just something that you want. Think about that. I can see some similarities, especially as you were talking. Rob, Stevie D, Rob did bring up a point. And so I will. He said, don't forget about Kyron. And he's absolutely right. We about Kyron. Oh, don't be the who. We talked all about this. Kyron Lacey. This is the
Kyron Lacey. I was not putting that into what we were just talking about. So I was.
No. Just kind of segueing, because we did say that we are. That's right, Alex. We did say that we're always going to keep this because it's a story that needs to be told. So we're not going to rehash it right now. We did a lot of talking about this on a previous episode. But if you haven't gone out there, if you haven't read, if you haven't listened, then that's okay. Go out there and read about the Kyron Lacey story. Read it. Understand it. Right? Don't, and I ask everybody, and this is huge. Don't just go to a single source. Don't go to a source where you feel comfortable, right? And I'm not here to make this political by no stretch, but go to different areas, because the writer is going to give you their opinion. They're going to give you some facts, but they're also going to give you their opinion. So get multiple opinions and digest it all so that you understand.
Yeah, because you do. I mean, that's so important, because if you don't think writers can be bought to change a narrative to a story the way it wants to,
Sure.
I've seen it just back home. The mob would buy writers to change narratives to get stories to flip a different way. And so that's why, I mean, it's a really great point of going to multiple sources to get your information, because if you go to one source and it's always the same, doesn't mean it's right.
That's exactly right. And it's so crazy how a single word or two can completely change everything, right? But also go to places that you're not comfortable with, right? Again, this is not politics. We stay as far away from politics as possible. So this is not politics. But read whatever side you're on. Read the other side's story on this. Read the guy in the middle or wherever. Just read it all. Digest it all. And then you formulate your opinion. And then you come back to OW Sports and you get on the chat. You go to Mafia Den. You go to Jets Hangar. You go to OW Sports and you put in what you think. I want to hear from you guys. That's what we all should be having this conversation. And what is happening now, Stevie D, is what I feared was going to happen. We are a society, when something happens, it's in the headlines for 24 to 36 hours. Then we're done. Gone. And the next time you hear about it, it's page 6, page 7, right? You don't even get that far. And that's the shame of this, because the story needs to be told. The story needs to be told.
Well said. Well said.
All right, that's going to wrap this one up. Alex, great to see you. Yeah. It's good to see some of the names. Alex and Joey popping up, bam, bam, right? We got some new people in here.
Joey was like a ninja in the
right?
beginning. He was an absolute ninja.
Hey, I don't know if it's a ninja or like a bull in a china shop, Stevie.
Well, it could have been that too, right?
He didn't even say hi. Joey just kicked in the doors like, they suck. Whoa. But we had JT, which was good to see JT. We had Colt, new person to the show, so glad to see you, Colt. Nick was on there. Hey, Nick. Of course, Craig Mack. We had Craig Mack in there, so that's good, Craig and Alex, and of course Rob. Rob, you're banned for another 6 days, so you can come back next Wednesday. Well, actually, yeah, we're on bye week. Technically, you could be banned for 13 days. It'd be a real ban. You'd be like, what?
Rob. I feel for you, Rob. I do.
Yeah. It's that 100 words per minute, right? You just do everything off with that.
I can do 100 words today. I do about 150.
All right, but yeah, that's gonna wrap this one up. Always great to have everybody jump in and chime in on the podcast. We love you guys. You guys are great. You're what keeps us going. So,
Hey, he's welcoming him to the ban list. It's not
realize he was on the ban list and had to come in a different way, a whole new ID. That's all showing up. I found the loophole. So, Rob, maybe you and Richard can kind of communicate on how to circumvent that.
That youth of America, they're savvy that way.
Oh, man. But, yeah, check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Again, check out Mafia Den and check out Jets Hanger. Except for all those fake Josh Allen pages. Enough. All right. That's going to wrap this one up. For my co-host, Stevie D, I'm Vince. We'll talk to you soon.
OW Sports with a